Hi everyone, and this is Chrissy from In the Stars by Chrissy.com. And in this video, we are going to be talking about the new moon in the sign of Scorpio happening on October 27 or 28, depending on where you are in the world. So, first things first, I'll be talking to you guys in depth on what you can expect within the new moon in the sign of Scorpio, and I'm going to be applying a different technique on how this can be manifesting for each and every one of us. Later on, I will be telling you guys how this can be manifesting for you by using the houses area of the karma cards, which I just recently made a review about. And also I will be announcing the details and information on how you can join my Instagram birthday giveaway if you are interested to have a free reading with me. I will be answering 3 questions and everything will be detailed, and it includes the predictions as well, those kinds of things. And there's going to be 3 winners as well, so I hope you guys can join in with that. So let's begin with the new moon reading. Now I'm using 2 charts just to show you guys what we have for the new moon. This chart is quite different from the usual charts that you guys will be seeing, because this one was actually made by Roman Kalev, which is a very known astrology scholar, very widely known for ancient scripts, those tablets, those kinds of stuff, a Babylonian astrologer, and really focusing on ancient stuff. So this kind of chart is usually available for those that are very serious with the craft of astrology, because it really shows us the alignments of the planets and where they are positioned, so that they can be thoroughly studied and researched by the practitioner. So anyway, enough of that. As you guys can see, we have here Mars showing up within this new moon chart, and that is actually very important to know, because this is the exact day, exact time that Mars becomes visible. So new moon in the sign of Scorpio, Mars showing up, becoming visible, creates some form of potent energy, making it a lot more significant and a lot more stronger. This new moon is also happening at the 4 degrees. It has been estimated to 5 degrees. So this can also create an influence to the Cancer and Gemini side of things. So because I am applying the degree theory that Nikola, a really known Serbian astrologer, does. So 4 degrees is related to Cancer, and 4 degrees is related to Cancer, 5 degrees is related to Leo. But I'm saying the Gemini part because we do have 15 degrees in Mars energy. So I will be discussing that a bit later on once I go to this chart over here. But right now, I just want us to really think about this and really focus on this Martian energy showing up in the sign of Libra. This can really promote some form of decision making in terms of relationships. They can be something that has to do with your love life. That is possible, but I'm talking about more of a generic type of relationships, because this is a time we're in. Libra is a sign that tends to have a struggle in terms of Martian energy, especially Mars in Libra, that is quite of a difficult alignment. It's very weak because Mars is all about taking action here and now. But with Mars in the sign of Libra, that is making you quite indecisive, and you don't really make a decision or action immediately at that time. But with this showing up, with the visibility of Mars in the sign of Libra at this degree, if you have this in your chart, that is going to be very strong, because you can expect some form of developments in your life as a whole, to where this is being activated in your natal chart. So, for example, if you have this alignment, exact alignment in your first house, this could be an area wherein maybe something comes to you, or you might do something, that has this energy. Maybe you are going to decide something, you are going to be pursuing something. I really think that the Mars in Libra energy is very special, because Mars has a lot to do with the Aries part. Mars has a lot to do with the Scorpio energy, and Libra is being ruled by Venus. So it's like the male and female counterparts are coming in together, having a face off, having some form of confrontation. And that is exactly what this is really all about. The new moon is all about some form of new beginnings. There is a form of growth, there is a birth or a rebirth on something. Also, it's very important to take note that Venus and Mercury are together. Like, see this conjunction, they are very close to each other as well. So, the Scorpio energy is really, really strong. And what I like about this is that even though we do have a lot of these energies in the sign of Scorpio, there's really nothing that is combusted. I really give focus on combust planets. Moon is not really included with the combustion, because every new moon, the moon is really invisible, because that is really the starting point of a new moon. So we do not include that. So what I really mean is that, Venus, Mercury, and Mars are all visible, and they are really, really strong. And what I like about using this chart is the more bold the planets are, the more power it gives. Also, you can see that there is an MF right there, MF0. It means morning first. It's telling us that 0 is like this is the first day it showed up. So that is really, really significant. So yeah. Also, I'm not sure if you guys can see, you do have this alignment energy wherein this Mars area is near this Mercury energy. So this is telling us that the Mars in Libra has an influence of Mercury. This new moon has an influence of Mars and Venus. So that alone can really tell us that there is a form of excitement, there is a form of sexuality involved, love involved, but there could be a form of aggression as well. Here we do have this conjunction between Mercury and Venus, aligned with Saturn and Jupiter, is really telling us that we might be getting a lot of information. They can be very deep. There could be an element of investigation and really penetrating secrets coming into light. Those kinds of energies as well. And also, I'm not sure if you guys can see, we have Uranus over here, and it is being influenced by Venus. So, Venus is really becoming strong here. And if you don't know, Venus is actually very, very, very strong. The degree where Venus really comes alive is when Venus is in Scorpio, but in this degree, not exactly within this degree, but at the 20 plus degree, that is really where Venus feels so much comfortable, so much alive. Not during the first few degrees of Scorpio or Libra, but it is within the Venus in Scorpio, along with the middle degrees towards the end now. That is where Venus really comes alive. So I would say that this new moon in Scorpio can bring up themes related to women, sexuality, could be sex, intimacy, and a lot of emotions and passions involved as well. So let's move here so you guys will be able to relate on the aspects that are happening for this new moon. So I'm using a chart, an equal house system, just like this one. So we get to see how exactly things are moving along with the planets and all that. And you guys can see that this new moon is really directly opposed to Uranus at 4 degrees. And that is really significant because the new moon alone is really powerful. It's really powerful because not only that it is a new moon, but it is in Scorpio. A sun in Scorpio is already powerful. A moon in Scorpio is chaotically powerful. So this can really trigger our innate feelings, our innate energies. Sometimes that can even trigger your animal instinct. That kind of thing being opposed to Uranus, which can be an element where there could be some form of disruptions, surprises, and excitement all at the same time. Because, truth be told, this can only manifest in two things. You either experience some form of excitement, you might learn something, find out something, but at the same time, there could also be some form of situation that suddenly upsets you and you get caught off guard as a result. That kind of energy in place. This can also mean that you might be having to use a lot of money, I feel, because 8th house still has a lot to do with finances, and right now in Taurus is money as well. So it's either that you are using a lot of your income, using a lot of money and expenditures, or you could be earning a lot. You're either earning or losing a lot of money. That is very, very possible with this alignment as well. What is very interesting is that we do have this T square happening, and we have this, Mars in Libra involved in the process of things. Now, this is where it becomes really interesting because this is the 15 degrees, and that has a lot of relation to the sign of Gemini. So what is Gemini all about? Gemini is all about letters, write-ups, communication. They could also be something to do with the cars, accidents, transportation. That is very possible with a square to direct square, exact square, in fact, with Saturn there. So Saturn and squaring to Mars is very tricky because that can lead to some form of, sudden happening, a trigger of some kind. This can be some form of related to news as well, journalism, a news report. There could be something about those things. It could be that you are finding out some form of news on the internet or news on TV, news about the politics, government things. This can be a very intellectual energy as well. And most of the time, Mars and Libra has a lot to do with legalities. Legalities that you need to sort out, you need to fix, especially with the square here with Ketu, the South Node. This could be you sorting out some form of unfinished business regarding from the past, because we do have Ketu over here. And remember, we are dealing with the Cancer energy as well. So Cancer is definitely another alignment that, it tends to be very fixated of the past. So again, let me just repeat. Cancer and Gemini, that is the sign that is going to be, influencing this energy. So imagine Scorpio in relation to Cancer, in relation to Gemini. That is like a person or a scenario of your life wherein you're not really thinking very straight, but you think that you do. Those kinds of things that can make your emotions very, very powerful, that can make your intuition so high, so pinpoint, so precise as well. With Gemini, that can also make you be very impulsive. Scorpio is a very impulsive sign, but it raises up your impulsive factor, all those kinds of stuff. And the 4 degrees, 16 degrees are all related to the sign of Cancer as well. So what else? Yeah, basically, this is the 26 degrees, but yeah, 15 and 16 degrees. So Cancer and Gemini is really in a tight position. And it's very funny because Neptune and Mars is in a quincunx energy. And this is where the Cancer and Gemini energy fields are all happening. So there could be a tendency that we might find ourselves very impulsive, and we might act on things without much thought. We might trigger some form of arguments because, we are very, very reactive. Like I've mentioned earlier, this new moon is highly influenced by Mars as well. Like I mentioned earlier, Mars and Venus. This can create so much disruption and so much shake up going on with that. So another influence this can mean has a lot to do with something that has involving a lot of people. A lot of people. It could be something about your home place, or something that has to do with a huge area of water as well. Also, women in general, like I mentioned earlier, is very, very in focus, as well as the publicity of some people, or some situations. It could be a thing, it could be a situation, it could be a person. I won't be surprised if people in the government or a president of whatever country that you are in comes into play here, comes into focus, because there is really an activation here of the Saturn as well. So also, I really like the fact that there is a sextile between Saturn and Neptune, because this is always a manifesting power. So there is something that we can really express to people. So if there were times wherein you were not able to speak up, there are things that you are trying to do but were not able to get some form of result or outcome that you have wanted to achieve, then this can tell us that, we can actually make something happen. We can make something happen. And I really feel that there is something about partnerships that can, that can be formed, or can that has some form of focus or influence into this new moon in Scorpio. It could be a beginning of a relationship, healing a relationship, working with whatever relationship in the past. That is possible with this sextile as well of Juno and Pallas Athena, and in a conjunction to the Mercury in the sign of Scorpio. And know that Mercury in Scorpio is about to go in a retrograde phase, so the past is also coming up once again. So that is really unavoidable, and it's very interesting that we do have Venus in Scorpio again. Last year we already have this Venus in the sign of Scorpio, but it was in retrograde. So for those people, for those Scorpio people that has Venus in the sign of Scorpio, probably has experienced a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges, a lot of tests, a lot of failures, a lot of changing things in their relationships, especially in terms of their relationships with the money that they earn, pleasure, those kinds of things. There was a retrograde last year, so there is something that Venus is wanting them to maybe redo, maybe to make sure of things. It's as they're being asked to confirm their own thoughts, their own feelings into their relationships. And now that it's entering that zone again and in a direct position, this is like, it's like telling us that you have made your decision. You are now sure of what you want. So this is like an ending point of whatever that has occurred last year. So there is a conclusion. There is an end point to a certain situation coming about, and that is all happening by the trigger of this new moon in the sign of Scorpio. So yeah, that is really significant. Also, we do have this conjunction with Pallas Athena, and I really think that this is a point wherein Athena is really not just about war. It's all about using your intellect, using your charm into dealing with things. And with all these three conjunctions, this is like you're now about to make a decision that is right and good for you, especially in terms of your relationships and some form of problematic situation that you may be going through. This is the starting point wherein things are about to get better. Those kind of situation as well. Now, it's very important to know that Jupiter right here is at 22 degrees, and it is conjuncting Ceres. And this 22 to 23 degrees is the exact degrees of an eclipse around July, if I'm correct. So there could be something manifesting with that. I'm not sure if it's around July or something, but it was an eclipse definitely that occurred within 2019. So, there could be a culmination with that as well. So, yeah. What else do we see here? Let me see. There is definitely going to be some form of healing as well. Now, I would advise you to be more careful, because even though there are positive things that can be manifesting for this new moon, there is definitely going to be, sudden shock, it's very common to have some form of accidents and some form of deaths that can really happen for this. Um, we have the Venus in conjunction with Agena, the fixed star Agena, and it has a lot to do with the knee part of a person. So the knee, we do have a joint right there, right? It is a point wherein it makes us, it allows us to walk, to move forward, those kinds of things. That is also a point wherein you're either walking away or moving forward, but it's a very important part of our body because that is the point wherein we make an action, regardless of what action that you're taking. This is also making us very, very passionate with a lot of things as well. So, Scorpio themes are becoming really, really strong, and that is a given fact. You might be speaking your truth, being more honest. There could be very sexual themes as well, like, talking about sex or diving deep about a lot of sexual I don't know, tantric kind of thing. So sex, mystery, occult, astrology might come into play. People might be interested with that, diving into that. Those kinds of things are very possible as well. And whatever Venus is representing right now becomes very strong. And like I mentioned earlier, women in particular is going to be very prominent, not because of Venus, but this has a lot to do with Jupiter. Jupiter is in a conjunction right now, or will be in a conjunction within this new moon energy to Ras Al Hageh, and that is a fixed star. And the fixed star that I'm mentioning right now is literally, an exact fixed star at 0-degree orb. So it is in a conjunction with Jupiter, and that fixed star has a tone of Saturn and Venus involved. So, if you are the type of woman who engages with some form of illicity, sexual, a very liberal type of woman, I would say, you might find yourself have a problematic situation, because this can also trigger a lot of infections, diseases that can really happen, because it's also representing our groin area. And yeah, and with Neptune here, it is being in a conjunction with Achernar. So this is really talking again all about how we should be taking care of our body, and good morals are the ones that are being in favored at this time. So if you're doing something that you're not supposed to do, this can trigger in a very difficult manner. This can trigger in a very there could be sickness, diseases that could come about, accidents that could happen, and things might happen in a very negative way as well. Rath Agelhe is represented, as the head of the snake, the one that charms people. And, it has a lot to do with the perverted things of a situation as well. So this is not the time wherein we should be making use of manipulation, the things that are quite vindictive. Even though that the energy right there is very scorpionic, the more that you do something that you're not supposed to do, the more you give in to those kinds of feelings and energies, the more you might find yourself in a more problematic situation. Maybe you are wondering that, why things are happening the way that they are, and you do more of the bad things, you do more of a very, you do more wild stuff, basically. You might be having some form of problems that will trigger some form of problems with you, because Juno's series here is all about the goodness of one's heart, the goodness of the good feelings, It's all about having some form of good morals is going to be what's important here, not the ones that triggers more problems in each and every one of us. Also, this new moon is in a conjunction with Sirma and Kambalia fixed star. So it really has a lot to do with being a lot more reserved on things. It can be a lot to do with very spiritual stuff, occult, your personal responsibilities, being a leader, but it also has a lot to do with some form of swift things happening. It could be a form of violence, There could be, I really think that this can occur in a very argumentative way, especially in terms of politics, or some form of organizations. You might need to fight for something, work on something, especially with this opposition with Uranus, which is also in conjunction with the Ras Al Gahe. So, well, not really conjunction, but in a parallel with the fixed star. So imagine that this new moon is in a opposition with a snake. So it's like, a Scorpio and a snake is fighting off. There's a fight off. You need to face something right there. So, yeah, this is really going to be a lot crazy, because there's going to be so much revelation that is going to come into place. So, again, there is decision going to be happening for us. Also, I did forget to mention that this 4 degrees is going to be very important. This is the first 4 degrees new moon, because the rest of the upcoming new moons are also going to be within this degree. So it's going to be retriggered, and retriggered again. So, yeah. And it's very important to know that it is activating this Uranus. It's very much activating this Uranus energy, which is in a trine to Saturn. So Uranus and Saturn are very important planets in the sky, and when they are activated, that there's going to be some form of major change, major transformation, and major revelation all at the same time. So that is going to be very prominent and very important as well. So yeah, I think that's about it for this new moon. This can really bring about a lot of new beginnings, a lot of insightful things. It really depends on what the new moon, or what Scorpio is representing in your own chart, and where it is represented in Uranus. What house it is being placed in. Is it on the second house? Is it on the first house? It's on the third house? What house it is being represented on? What is activating Uranus in your chart, and what is activating this new moon in your chart is going to be playing a very important role, and it can tell you a theme that is going to be playing out in your life as a whole. But remember, this new moon can really bring important event to come into your life. But with this opposition, I will not be surprised if this has a lot to do with a dissolution of things, something blowing up, something goes out of proportion, or something suddenly comes into the surface of things. That is very important. So again, with the T square happening, this Mars in Libra can really make you start doing things. It really allows you to take action on things. It could be that partnerships are becoming very important as well. There could be shake-ups in partnerships. There could be some form of deeper revelation, deeper things to know in terms of partnerships as well. Those kinds of things are really coming into place. Now, before I go over the contest, let me first, go over all of the signs and what this can be, what influences, what house can be triggered as an influence for this new moon for you. So, yeah. So, first, let's start with the sign of Aries. How is this new moon in the sign of Scorpio going to be playing out for you? What house will it be activating, and how is it going to be playing out? Okay, so in the sign of Aries, this is going to be in your ninth house. And what is ninth house all about? This is all about travel. This is all about the foreign lands. And sometimes maybe there is something about someone from afar, someone from a different culture. Maybe you are talking to someone overseas, those kinds of things. It could be that this new moon, you might be talking to someone online. Not really online. I would say maybe someone overseas. Maybe you are going to learn something. You are going to find some form of secret as well. That is really possible as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a very powerful new moon for you guys because it allows you to open up horizons to things that you have never thought you'd never thought you're gonna engage with before, those kinds of things. So there's so much realization and so much thinking involved here when it comes to you guys, Aries. Now, for the sign of Taurus, let's see what's going on for Taurus and the new moon energy. So for Taurus, this is going to be an activation of your 11th house. And 11th house has a lot to do with the people that it really has a lot to do with network and associations, those kinds of things. It could be with your friends, just like it says here. And with the 11th house, this can really tell us that there could be some form of shocking element. You might be seeing some form of surprises. There could be sudden reunions or sudden parties involved. There could be a lot of fun, a lot of laughter, but at the same time, you might be finding out something that has a lot to do with your friends, the people that you meet, the organizations right there. 11th house has a lot to do with the internet as well. So, internet and networking as well. So you might gain or lose some in those areas of thing. Or it could also be that you are working something with a lot of people involved, and there could be some form of excitement right there. Because it is on the 11th house, and then we are talking about Scorpio and Uranus. You might even start something, maybe going to start a community of some kind, or you might need to resolve something with a lot of people. You might be talking like a public speaking in front of a lot of people involved is very prominent as well. So for those that are in the sign of Gemini, let's see what's going on with you and what house it is being activated from the sign of Gemini. Okay, so for the sign of Gemini, this is activating your 8th house. Now, this is so much Scorpio. Now, I would say that for Geminis, you need to be more careful because, Geminis alone is a very, it's a very jumpy sign. They are very smart, very intellectual, but at the same time, they tend to be, I would say, they make fast and immediate decisions, and they sometimes tend to assume things immediately. And with this 8th house, it's asking you to step back and try to reflect on things, try to study things, try to investigate the truth, because you will be able to find out something that can really, really shock you. There could be some form of truth or secrets that is about to be discovered by you. And whatever you do about that information will be up to you guys. But this is definitely a time of, penetrating thoughts, penetrating ideas, penetrating secrets, or really diving deep into the mysteries of life, those kinds of things. So for those that are in the sign of Cancer, what's this new moon is going to activate for those that are in the sign of Cancer? Okay, so for those that are in the sign of Cancer, we again have this 9th house energy. Now, with Cancer in the 9th house, this may have a lot to do with your home, but maybe you're interested to moving out, moving home, those kinds of things. You might be interested of having a vacation, wanting to set yourself free for once from the things that are going on with your life as a whole. You might want to have a change of pace. Also, you might find some form of love, some form of emotional security overseas, paying attention to the things that is very much foreign to you. 9th house is all about, higher education as well, and has a lot to do with foreign lands. And with this new moon energy, this can really allow you to dive deep into the other world. You might find yourself very, very psychic, very intuitive, and there is so much you might find out and you might learn in the process of things as well. It makes me feel that as if you're seeing the bigger picture, seeing the future ahead of you. That kind of energy can be really, really prominent for you guys. Now, so let's see what's going on for those that are in the sign of Leo. How is this going to be? How are Leos going to be affected by this new moon energy? Okay, so Leo, this is activating your 10th house. And 10th house is all about your public life, how people see you. This is your career as well. So there could be some form of testing factor. You might need to make important decisions about your work. You might be finding out things. There could be some form of upsets and changes in terms of your work life and career that you might feel that it's very dragging. It's quite of a hassle, that kind of thing. But you might be suddenly getting a promotion, or suddenly you're being depromoted as well. That is possible. But it's asking you to focus more on your career because you might get a lot of insights and ideas on how to progress something in your career. Because remember, this new moon is all about something growing. So if you are wanting to expand something in your career, to work something in your career, this is going to be the perfect time as well. But it's asking you to do your research very, very carefully. So, and Scorpio is a sign that you know they don't just do things for the sake of doing it. They have a bigger reason, like a bigger vision. You know, it's like a bottle of water filling up, and all those ideas are now coming into place and wanting to manifest in the world, that kind of thing. Now, if you are in the sign of Virgo, let's see. Virgo, this new moon energy going to be for those that are in the sign of Virgo? Okay, this is a really good energy. For those that are in the sign of Virgo, this will be creating activations in your fifth house. And fifth house is all about love, love affairs. It's also the playful side of us, the creative side of us. So this can trigger you having some form of sudden connections with people that are younger than you. It could be children as well. It could be, you know, maybe you are getting pregnant. That is possibility. And it could be that there is so much excitement in terms of some form of playful adventures. Now, you need to be careful because, like I've mentioned earlier, women that are very liberal needs to be very, very careful. So if you're doing that during this time, activating your fifth house, yes, you might experience some form of fun, excitement, those kinds of things. But it's like you might experience some form of fun, but at the same time, there could be, you know, another side of a coin. So whatever that is, that will be your gamble, right? It could be manifesting in different ways, but I would just be giving you guys a warning that you need to be careful if you're just gonna be playing around with fire because we do have the Scorpio energy here and you have the fifth house. So this could be a lot of sex or having a lot of being interested with that or trying to dive into that and maybe wanting more of that. Those kinds of things can be coming into play. This can be very, very exciting and it could be a really, really fun adventure for those that are in the sign of Virgo. Something new could be coming into play. So, yeah. And this can also trigger some form of drama. So, yeah. And with the opposition to Uranus, this can be really, really exaggerated as well. Something very powerful. So, anyways, let's go now to the sign of Libra. Libra, what is this new moon energy going to be for you? Okay, I've been getting this sign a lot lately. Okay. So, for those that are in the sign of Libra, we have this ninth house again showing up. So, like I've mentioned earlier, this could be something to do with education. This could be a time wherein, you know, you might be working hard on some form of projects. You have a lot of ideas coming into place and you're wanting to learn more, to do a lot of things all at the same time. So that can be really good as it's really good. It's a very good alignment. Though because of the Mars in the sign of Libra right there and in a quincunx to Neptune, you might find yourself sometimes getting a burnout, you know, doing so much all at the same time. It's like telling yourself that you have been stagnant for a lot of for a very long time, and then suddenly you have all of these ideas and you wanted to do them immediately. So it feels like you're suddenly getting yourself really, really busy, and to a point wherein you're not resting anymore. So if that is you, try to do things one at a time. But yeah, this is really a good time to reach out to people, to share what you know, to teach people exactly what I'm trying to do slowly right now, as I also have a Libra rising with me. So yeah, that could be things that could be coming to play with this new moon energy for you guys. Now, for those in the sign of Scorpio, let's see what's going on for you. And what is this new moon energy going to be bringing you? Now, imagine this. You have the 8th house, and this is your house, Scorpio. This is definitely your house. So, with Scorpio, this can really activate the very, very Scorpio energy of you. Now, I would say that try to be more subtle with your passion, because not everyone can actually handle you. This could be a time wherein you are wanting to figure out some things. This can be very introspective, but it could also be in a way that there is something about you that is expanding right now. It could be you are realizing something, because this can really activate that occult energies, that paranormal things that, you know, can also deal with that or depths, those kinds of stuff. And you might be trying to investigate something, finding out answers, finding out decisions. There's so much things that you are wanting to dive in, to dive deep. You are wanting to learn something, find out something. So you might find yourself that, you know, this Scorpio energy within you is becoming really, really strong by the day. So again, 8th house is also a time wherein you find yourself that you might be you wanted to change something in you. It could be a very internal work, spiritual, mental, physical, but you wanted to change something. It could be your look as well, you know. You wanted to have a huge makeover or something like that. That is very possible as well. This can also trigger, you know, triggering the things that that are secretly in your mind. And if you are in a situation wherein things are quite complicated for you, and it makes you, there is some form of influence right there wherein thinking negatively or acting in a very pessimistic way can be strong as well. If that is the case, that could mean that you're feeling so much things, and you know, the energy of wanting to manipulate something, to want to get things your way, can also be very strong. So just keep that in mind. But this is definitely a good energy for you, because you know, it is a time wherein there's a lot of potential that can really come about for you and in your life as a whole. Now, for those that are in the sign of Sagittarius, let's see what's going on for you guys. For those that are in the sign of Sagittarius, let me see. Okay, for those that are in the sign of Sagittarius, we now have again the 10th house. So this can really mean that, you know, you're trying to make something. You're trying to make a mark on something. This can really trigger some form of peaceful agreements with some form of partnerships as well. So you can find some form of relief, I would say, with a partnership that seems to be falling out or something like that, because we do have this Jupiter in Sagittarius in conjunction with Ceres. So this can really trigger those energies in place. At the same time, this could be a situation wherein you might need to look back on some form of problematic situations, and you might need to have the guts to face adversity, to work around with things, so that there could be some form of balance in terms of your relationships with people, especially with the opposite sex. And even though 10th house is the career, this can also mean, your reputation. There could be something to do with the opposite sex that involves your reputation in the world as well. So you might need to work on that and try to resolve that as much as you can. And of course, try not to make things worse than it already is, right? So next up, we have Capricorn. Capricorn for this new moon in the sign of Scorpio. How are things going to be for you? I do keep getting this 8th house, even though I try to shuffle and shuffle, so I keep getting it. So anyways, for those that are in the sign of Capricorn, this can really be quite a situation for you, because you might need to work on some form of money involved. It could be some form of unfinished business in terms of loans or paperwork. Some form of legalities could be involved here, as we do have this square of Saturn and Mars together, right? So you need to be careful, because there could be an issue about debts, and of course that is a very heavy kind of thing to talk about. But there's definitely some form of major change that can be happening for you. It could be something very important as well in terms of partnerships that could be related to your work or love relationships. It's very possible. There is something that is really manifesting for you, and you are now working your way to get some form of power back in your life that you may have lost along the way in the past. So there is something that you need to get done there. And just like Scorpio, you need to renew your energy, you renew yourself, and regenerate all the power that you have given away, those kinds of stuff. Now, for those that are in the sign of Aquarius, let's see what's going on for you. Okay, so Aquarius, you do have the 6th house. So this may have a lot to do with your work, or you might need to deal with problematic situations. This can have a lot to do with your health, with your work, or and the 6th house is usually has a relation to some form of annoyance, troublemakers in your life, I would say. And it has a lot to do with ex-lovers as well. So you might be having to deal with those kinds of things. It has a lot to do with some form of, I would say, there's some form of hassle in this situation. You need to work on something, and it needs to happen in a very gradual way. That is basically what I'm getting here for those that are in the sign of Aquarius. So maybe you need to talk to someone again, someone that you haven't talked to for quite some time now. Maybe you fought with someone and maybe you need to apologize to them, because that is coming into play here. I guess 11th house. Sorry, Aquarius rules the 11th house, which is all about the people that you know, the associates, and maybe the people that you are working with as well, or you have worked with in the past. Because 11th house has a lot to do, not just with associations, but with your acquaintances or ex acquaintances if you haven't really talked to them for quite a while. So this new moon can really make you start something with those types of people once again, and make your way around and maybe confront them to what has happened in the past, those kinds of things. Because again, whatever is happening right now and whatever is going to be manifesting, it has a lot to do with the Mercury retrograde in the sign of Scorpio as well. So past issues, past problems, and past things, the loopholes in the past are really coming into the forefront. Those kinds of energy. Now, last but not the least, let's go to the sign of Pisces. Let's see what's going on with you and what house it is being represented for you. And what you have here is the second house. Now, the second house has a lot to do with money, the things that you have, the money that you earn through your work. This can have a lot to do with your own energy and with your own body as well. So, a lot of you guys might be having this intense desire to suddenly do a makeover change, maybe suddenly surprise people by changing your overall look. I don't know, maybe you wanted to color your hair, cut your hair, go bald, those kinds of things. But this can also be represented by your own family as well. So the things that is supporting you is becoming important. Are you being supported, or are you having the lack of support and it's becoming frustrating? Regardless of what this is, I really feel that this has a lot to do with your own body. And are you eating right? The things that you are eating, those kinds of things. Also, again, be more careful with your own body, because try to go safe than sorry, right? So if you have a bad diet, or you tend to do a lot of drugs, intake a lot of medicine, you need to be careful, because with that opposition to Uranus, that can prove to be quite of a detriment, because that would mean maybe you get problems with your health, and you might need to go and visit a doctor, those kinds of stuff. But yeah, for the most part, this can really mean that you suddenly wanted to exercise, wanting to lose weight, and you wanted to get it more intense than usual. Those kinds of energies in place is very, very prominent for you guys. Again, so what you believe, what your value, and what is very important to you is coming into place here. And again, Pisces is a very emotional sign, and with Scorpio, this is going to be making you a lot more emotional, and it drives you to move forward into things. It drives you to do something in your life and in whatever focus you have at this time. So with that, that is all for the new moon in the sign of Scorpio. Now, like I've mentioned earlier, I do have a contest going on, and this is a Instagram giveaway, a free reading with me. You can ask 3 questions, and there's going to be 3 winners. I'm going to be posting the link on the description below this video so you guys can join in. And yeah, just follow the instruction. Basically, what you can do is that you like the post, the Instagram post. Of course, follow me on Instagram, and you need to repost the post. So weird. You need to repost that entry and then tag 2 of your friends, and then comment everything below. Comment on the post and tag people. There will increase your chances of winning a lot more entries to come. But anyways, I know what I'm saying right now is confusing, but all the instruction is at the Instagram post. So just read it, and I hope that you can leave the comments if you follow that. If you followed my Instagram, if you wanted to join and get a free reading with me, just follow it, because again, it's going to be my birthday soon, and that is my way to give back to those people that are supporting me, who has supported me in the past and still supporting me at this time. I'm really thankful for you guys for being there for me despite my inactiveness in the past. And I'll try my best to offer you guys more free stuff and more information on the things that are to come. Yeah, I really hope you guys can join in. Okay, and I really love to do free readings because it is the time we're in, I don't know, I just love doing free readings because a lot of people join in and they immediately give the feedback as well. So yeah, after I do the reading, after after the contest duration, which will be on November 30, 2019, picking the winners will be posted on Instagram as well, so you need to follow me there, and then I will DM the winners, and hopefully they can respond within 24 hours before I pick another set of winners. So that is going to be the process. So if you'd like a personal reading with me, you can ask 3 questions. And if you wanted free, of course, then feel free to join in the contest. And I'll be hoping to see you guys over on Instagram as well. Also, if you are wanting an immediate reading, you can also do that by going to my website in thestarsbychrissy.com/services. I do have a 3-question reading as well, which is also on sale. So you can purchase that at $25, and you should be getting your reading within 24 to 48 hours, depending on the volumes that I get with that. But yeah, that is if you are rushing and wanting an immediate answers to your questions. But yeah, join my Instagram giveaway, and I cannot stress this enough. It is an Instagram giveaway, guys. So please don't do the commenting on YouTube, don't do the commenting on Facebook, and do all your comments on Instagram, because that is where I'm getting the entries, and that is where I really will save your entries, the valid ones, so I can pick them up on random.org, wherein everything's going to be randomized. That is how I'm going to be picking the winners. So yeah, so much confusing energy, I know. That Cancer and Gemini energy is really hitting me so hard. Yeah, anyway, I hope that this reading has helped you. The information about the new moon in the sign of Scorpio has given you insights on what is to come for you. I'd love to know how this energy is working for you right now, and how it is going to be influencing you in the near future as we go over the new moon energy as well. So yeah, if you went past until this stage of the video, thank you for that. Thank you for listening with me, and I love to do this a lot more depending on the views of my subscribers and depending on your engagement. I really don't know if you guys are enjoying this or not. But yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys on my next video.